It's a countdown to the inaugural of the 9th National Assembly in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. By this, it implies that the Red Chamber, made up of 109 senators, and the Green Chamber, 360 House of Representatives members, will be inaugurated. So much expectation. We know about now a lot of horse trading towards the leadership, but our focus today on the inside will be looking at expectations from Nigerians. What hope for the 9th National Assembly in the Federal Republic of Nigeria? I have with me to discuss this Honorable Dr. Abubakar Yunusa Ahmed, member representing Yamal 2 Deba Federal Constituency of Gombe State. He is Chairman House Committee on Federal Road Safety Commission. He's a re-elected member of the House of Representatives. It's nice having your insight.
Thank you.
Good, also on the insights, I have with me Gabriel Suswam, His Excellency, one-time member, Federal House of Representatives, representing Sankera Federal Constituency of Benue State, former governor of Benue State, and he was a two-term member in House of Reps, two-term as governor, and now senator-elect, representing Northeast Senatorial District of Benue State. It's nice having you on insight.
Thank you.
Well, like I've said, the elections are over and it's already a countdown. Your inductions are already in place, and precisely on the 6th of June, thereabouts, you'll be inaugurated, and Nigerians will expect a lot. So let me open up this way, starting with the Honorable Abubakar. What is that big expectation we expect? What is that surprise we're expecting from the 9th National Assembly?
Well, as the opening preamble goes, the expectation is that you expect a robust National Assembly. I'm not just talking about the House of Representatives, but when I say National Assembly, it's all-encompassing. It's going to be robust in the sense that most of the members that constituted or that will be constituted into the 9th National Assembly has what it takes to. Like, they have a tremendous experiences. Even from my immediate left, you are talking of His Excellency, 2 terms House of Representatives, when it was just the beginning. So the amateurism in him now has grown. For the first time as House of Representatives, second tenure, immediately from there, he was an executive governor. And now coming as a senator. So you can imagine what type of experiences. And I think there are a lot of them there in the chamber. When you come to the House of Representatives too, we have people that have been there hitherto since 1999. Somebody like Nicholas Mutu, is the longest serving member, and now he's coming on board. Even when you come down to people like Dogara, Defemi, and whatever, people that are not just second-timers, but third-timers. We have a lot of second-timers, third-timers. So with the new people coming on board, we expect them to queue in. So Nigerians expect a more vibrant National Assembly.
Okay, let me go to His Excellency. You have been there. You pulled out, like he said, you were watching from afar, and now you're back. So he talked about beginning. Now you're coming back more matured. What are your thoughts?
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, naturally one would expect that after 20 years of democratic experience in Nigeria, we would have achieved a lot of milestones in terms of appreciation and understanding of what the issues are. And so Nigerians are not expecting anything less. They expect that members of the legislative arm of government should be men and women of integrity who will be able to give a direction as to how this country needs to be run, because statutorily the National Assembly is saddled with the responsibility of making laws for the good governance of this country. And so Nigerians have very high expectations, especially given the caliber of persons that are elected into the 9th Assembly.
Okay, beautiful. Now, you were elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, and you were elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. And now Nigerians are asking, when you are on the floor, whether in the red chamber or in the green chamber, Nigerians expect that on the floor, we're talking Nigeria, like you said. We're not talking APC, we're not talking PDP. Now, coming from this perspective, what are we going to see differently looking at executive-legislature relationship? Because people got it wrong that the legislature is always there to frustrate. They are more or less a cog in the wheel of progress. Whereas anybody who has the understanding knows that these are all arms of government working independently for the good of all Nigerians. So we are not talking about bipartisan legislature now. So when can we get there? That's our concern. Let me start with you.
Well, you know that the concept of separation of powers was propounded by the French philosopher, did not itself suggest in any way that the three arms of government were going to be absolutely autonomous from each other. They're interdependent. The legislative arm of government act as a check on the other arms of government. Ditto for the other arms, checking the legislative arm of government. And so, you know, there is this misconception from a lot of people that once you're in this arm of government, you're supposed to antagonize the other arm. That is a wrong conception. And I believe that over time, Nigerians expect that there's a deeper understanding of what this concept of separation of powers mean. It doesn't mean that in the legislative arm of government, anything that is from the president, we should antagonize it. Also, there are bipartisan issues that touches and concern the welfare of Nigerians. Those are issues that all parties, irrespective of whether you are APC, PDP, or ABGA, or whatever party you belong to, you must act for the general interest of Nigerians. You know, party is just a pedestal that you stand on to achieve whatever ambition that you have. It does not mean that once you get into the National Assembly or whichever, whether you become governor, that you are not going to be governor for only your party. In that state, you have all parties in that state. So once you are elected governor, you become the governor of that state, not governor of your party. Sure. Once you are elected, senator from my constituency, I contested with people from other parties. That people voted. That is to show that in that constituency, in that senatorial district, there are other political parties there. So I've become a senator of those people. So whatever representation I'm going to do at the National Assembly, I'm going to represent the entirety of those people. And so the issues that the president or the executive are going to bring to the National Assembly that touches and concerns the interests of those people, those are the issues we are going to discuss. I'm not going to discuss PDP in the National Assembly, of course not. But there are also partisan issues that might arise in the course of our deliberations. That is different. But generally, I believe that the Ninth Assembly is looking at how we can cooperate among ourselves, the three arms of government, so that Nigerians will see the dividends of democracy. I think that is all that we need to do, instead of going there to start fighting among ourselves or fighting APD, APP, or whatever party. You know, I don't think that is the essence of our election.
As a rider to distinguished senator, what you said is absolutely right. The issue when you started the question is the public, their own perception. You see, the earlier we understand that in the practice of this democracy is time bound. We have time for politicking and time for really acting, just like you say. That's why you see this 2019 election, the ban has not been lifted until somewhere around November. That they said, okay, these are the president and the National Assembly. We can start campaigning. That is where real partisanship comes into play. But to the end of the election, you now close that time framework and you now embark. We are now elected. Like you say, June, first week of June, give and take, will be inaugurated at National Assembly. That closes the issue of partisanship. Like you say, In fact, sometimes when I do introduce myself, I say representing the good, the bad, and the ugly people of my constituency. So everybody. And joke aside, I was talking with somebody, a highly caliber somebody, I don't want to mention name, but he said, look, in your constituency there are prisoners, people that are there, and they casted their vote. You know, they were also allowed to exercise their franchise. Now, they need a better representation, even if I can bring out by way of legislation to better the prison, so that anybody that goes through the four corners of the prison comes out a better reformed person. At least I have added. So the issue is just to add to what you say, that once we have been elected and sworn in, no longer partisanship. Any other role that we play that has to do with our party, yes, that will be there. But the most important thing is, now we look at what the executive put in place. If you see us disagreeing, it's probably we felt the executive have not brought something that will better the lot of the citizenry. And then we tend to really raise an eyebrow and then try to bring back. And like you say it again, we are interconnected. Sure. The legislator check the executive. The judiciary act as an arbiter when there is a clash between the legislative arm of government and the executive. Then somebody asks, who checkmate the House of the legislator? That is the National Assembly per se now. It is you, members of the public. You elected us. You gave us the mandate. And the system has made it that mandate can be retraceable. You can withdraw it by recall if I'm not doing your own bidding. So you are the one to put check and balances. Okay. There are windows for us, for senators, for House of Reps to go and consult you. When you perceive and you feel that we are not doing your bidding, you have. Then put the acts together and then see how you can recollect me and exercise your own check and balances on me so that I do the needful. Okay.
Now, the media now, let me structure it properly now. The media, we call ourselves the fourth estate of the realm. The only arm of government without a budgetary allocation, but always there with the people to look at what the governmental structure is doing. There's always this concern that bothers us when the governance structure is put in place. So much politicking. And at the end of the day, the government is not moving forward. It's as if there's some kind of stampede. So that's where we are saying, could it be that there could be that surprise at the 9th National Assembly? I'm still on you.
Well, I think that question should have been directed to the APC member, because that is where the controversy seems to be coming. It's not controversy, but I think that we have not learned anything, if I may say so. When we came in 1999, the then president decided that he wanted specific persons to be occupy the presiding or the leadership of the National Assembly, both in the Senate and in the House. And that didn't happen because people just felt that we're an arm of government. Why don't you give us some space? Whoever becomes Speaker or Senate President will definitely work with the President. It didn't happen. When we came back, the same thing repeated itself. It also didn't happen. When I became governor, the same thing played itself. When President then Jonathan wanted certain persons in the House of Representatives, of course it didn't happen, because members of the House felt that, give us some space, let us elect people that we feel can represent us better. And so I think this same mistake has been recurring like a decimal. We've just been elected, and in the APC, you know, there seems to be having an issue. Names have been bandied around as the people who occupied this and occupied that. And some people are saying, let's wait a minute. If we look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chapter 5, under Section 51 sub A and B, provides for the mode of electing people who will be presiding officers. And so why don't you respect that and allow, instead of hitting the polity, allow members, even within the APC, if APC has the majority members in the House, nobody is going to contest it. Though it's not a constitutional provision, but it's a convention. Mm-hmm. The convention over time has provided that, you know, people who have the majority provide the leadership. It's not a constitutional provision. what the Constitution simply provides in Section 50 under Chapter 5 is that members of the National Assembly will elect among themselves who become the Senate President and the Deputy Senate President. Ditto for the House of Representatives. That is what it said. In the same Chapter 5, Section 60 of the Constitution provide that the National Assembly will regulate its procedures, how it runs, the National Assembly is run. And arising from that, you have in the Senate the standing orders, in the House the standing rules. And if you go to the standing orders in the Senate, under Chapter 2, Section Order 3, 4, 5, and 6, provide for the mode of how the leadership of the National Assembly will emerge. And I don't think that people should try to bring some subterranean forces into placing who becomes the leader of the national or the leader who occupied those leadership positions.
Let me just hold the excellency.
Yeah.
Okay, let me move on. Before we exhaust it, I don't want to miss the link. Now, let's look at it again. Executive-legislature relationship as misconstrued by the public.
Yeah. Just like I was trying to
you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree. It is just the public misconception or misperception. For goodness sake, when you look at the provisions of the Constitution, 1999 as amended, he has quoted substantially that has to do with leadership. I don't want to visit there. But before I answer this question, let me add that for the public knowledge, there are what we call in the body of the principal officers, we have what we call presiding officers and that one that belongs to the party. The party is absolutely right, like the issue of majority leader and his deputy,
Whip.
Majority whip and his deputy,
Yeah.
both in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. This is exclusive party reserve. So if they detect that one, there is no any breach of the Constitution.
No.
The same thing, the minority position. But the issue of the presiding officers, which he now talk, Senate President and the Deputy Senate
You really
President.
responded on that.
So he has spoke extensively on that. So just for me to say, okay, the party can go in there. Again, for the party to come out publicly, you normally have this kind of a somersault. But the party can do it through Chinese talk without publicly coming in public. But that is, I'm saying this, at the risk of being sanctioned by my party. That's a joke aside.
Okay.
But on a more serious note, that issue of executive-legislative feud is not even supposed to be there because everybody is
and that is the
performing.
concern of Nigeria
Yeah.
now. As
You
the ninth
see,
as
like
National
I'm
Assembly
telling you,
inaugurated.
the National Assembly will really make it possible or explore any window to make sure that we put our laws in practice. The Fiscal Responsibility Act. Because let me even go back a little. The issue of this feud is on the control of the purse. Section 80 about the consolidated revenue account. That's where we have feud. Remove that one, we don't have feud.
So
I want
forward.
my senior colleague to really conquer. You see, now the issue is the Fiscal Responsibility Act has stipulated ways you come about the estimate and then the budget. Carry all stakeholders. Critical one. The National Assembly is a critical stakeholder as far as governing the country is concerned. He just quoted Section 60 to make laws for the good governance of the country. How can you do good governance when you cannot ensure the people's welfare, people's security, consider the economy, the security, and so on and so forth. So you do that by the appropriation of the resources of the country. Now, the fiscal responsibility says you carry us along. Representing a senatorial, 3 of them form what is called Benue State. 3 of its senators in East State, except Abuja that has one senator. Then you come to the House of Representatives, depending on population, the constituencies are delineated. So in the green chamber and in the red chamber, every section of this country and everybody is represented. Am I right, sir? Now with that, how can somebody come because I've been appointed minister to sit and then abrogate project in these constituencies? A minister that is appointed, he doesn't have the knowledge of every constituency. But in the House of Representatives, all Nigerian nooks and cranny, you found it there. So
Absolutely.
we subjected the estimate, the proposal by the executive vis-a-vis this thing, and we see that the interests of the people have been taken care of. The same thing in the Senate. And we come out with a kind of a harmonized system. Why should the executive become a gawk when we do that? But if they carried us along, we will have known, we will have been informed as to why they took certain decisions. So during budget defense, we wouldn't have to wait for them to start giving us explanation. They might give explanation during budget defense, we might not be satisfied, and we are time bound to pass the budget. We might just go ahead, giving the wherewithal to see that we have done this with due consultation with our constituents. And this is what Nigeria wants, vis-a-vis whatever. Like we said, we put the nation above Mr. President. We put the nation above the members of the
National Assembly.
So we look at what's sustainable. Okay. So we were doing that at the detriment of our own personal interest to the national interest.
Okay. Well, yes, why I took you off. I didn't want to digress the focus of this segment of the program. Now, let's look at bills. The kind of bills that come out of the National Assembly, the kind of laws, whether executive-sponsored bill or member or senator-sponsored bills, also give a lot of hope to Nigerians. With the experience you have as a former member of our House of Reps, you went and reinforced your experience politically as a governor, and you're back as a senator-elect.
Yeah.
Already a ranking member, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, what kind of bills are we expecting that will make a difference from the 8th National Assembly?
Well, like you rightly say, you have executive bills, you have members' bills, you have private bills. Private individuals can sponsor bills to the National Assembly. Now, when the Constitution recognizes that the National Assembly is statutory saddled with the responsibility of making laws for the good governance of this country, goes to what he has said. Because the Constitution recognizes the fact that in that National Assembly, the entire country is represented. And so whatever comes out of that National Assembly is representative of the views, fears, hopes, and aspirations of Nigerians. And so we would expect that if we're sponsoring bills, we should not be sponsoring bills that are frivolous, bills that, addresses nothing. We should sponsor bills that addresses the concerns of Nigerians. And I believe that the executive also, which is saddled also with the responsibility of implementing whatever that has been passed by the National Assembly, is also very conscious of this, that as president-elect or as president of a country, your constituency is the entire country. So I think they also will be forwarding bills to the National Assembly. And he has spoken extensively on a very important bill, which is the Appropriation Act. That is the most important bill that the executive brings to the National Assembly, because in that bill, whether NTA will continue to run is encapsulated in that bill. Whether you are going to continue to exist even as human beings is encapsulated in that bill. And so once that bill is put before the National Assembly, it becomes the bill for Nigerians. And Nigerians are represented in the National Assembly. So it becomes incumbent on members of the National Assembly to critically look at, examine it, and see whether the interests of their constituent is represented in that bill. And that is where you find at times some rancor and acrimony, seemingly acrimonious disposition coming from that, because most people feel that I'm here and my people's interest is not represented in this. That is something that, as he said, can be addressed by simply taking members of the National Assembly along. It might not be, because the National Assembly is governed by standing committees, and there are chairmen, deputy chairmen of those committees. Those committees represent the general view of the entire membership of the National Assembly. And so once that happens, it reduces the frictions that, you say might think that executive, legislative acrimony. Once that happens, and I believe, I like what the president said. He said he's going to be all-inclusive this time around. That inclusiveness, to me, suggests that in whatever that he's doing, he needs to carry the other critical stakeholders along. And like he said, the National Assembly is very critical in whatever that the president wants to do. Once we have the same appreciation as the president, there will be no acrimony at all. All that we need to have is be on the same page. The only way we can be on the same page is the president to involve us. Probably get to explain things to the leadership of the National Assembly, who in turn explain it to the members, and then you reduce the friction. In any human relationship, there will be friction. That is not to say that friction will be totally eliminated, but friction to the extent that it can distort what is intended for the people, that is where there is problem. But friction that are not very harmful, those ones are healthy for human existence. There is nothing wrong with friction in human society. But to the extent that it does not distort what we impact positively on the people.
And the goal. And let me add as a rider to what you said. You see, sometimes the National Assembly is the only organ that has been positioned, you see, to oversight, especially that issue of the consolidated revenue account. We do have problem. The executive do exceed. When I say the executive here, Mr. President is there, but anybody, the bureaucrat, Director General, PAMSEX, directors, by extension, the ministers, they are all, what do you call, an extension of the executive. When you come, you discover in an agency doing what you call violation, breaking the law. A head of an agency, you have no right to move money as approved from one socket to another. And we have that problem. Recently, in the 8th Assembly, we have also many things, and they subjected themselves to blackmailing the National Assembly members that we are enemies of progress. The public should understand that. You cannot go gross breach of the law to do violence, remove money from another socket and take it to another socket. So these are the kind of things that the public should understand. When a member or a legislator is doing that, exercising his right, or by the Constitution anyway, in pursuing this oversighting, the public should see that we are doing that to safeguard, to even protect the public interest. We are not doing it for our own sake. That's by the way. Again, truly, the 8th Assembly experiences, Mr. President, from 2015 to 2019, has actually done tremendously well. He has assented to the highest number of bills so far. Though he has also returned. And that is to show that, yes, work is in progress. Because it is work in progress, you criticize bill, you send it back to us, you deny assent by giving us reasons. And most of the reasons of Mr. President, the National Assembly really conquer, and so that, yes, some of the lapses are on our side. So for the 9th Assembly, we need to tidy up any bill to be sent to this president. Now that he has gotten second tenure and we are going to work with him, so we have to be really, really meticulous. The president denying assent because of typographical or sentences. And you know, in the law, a sentence can change. My colleague here will bear me witness. He was one at the executive arm. A bill from the House of Assembly that he sees that it's going to be detrimental. You cannot assent it. You have to take it back and give them reasons. We have to really look at that. The kudos to Mr. President. But then, again, there is that three arms of bill, executive, private members bill. He has talked of the private bill. That has not been paid precedent. Because maybe we are just 20 years, but a decade, a child of 20 years, for goodness sake, he has a teeth to buy. And that's where I'm heading to now. So, members of the public, have you, all those civil liberty organizations, have you taken upon unto yourself to send a private sponsored bill to the National Assembly? You have not. So that also is a challenge. Okay, now let's move on now. The vibrancy of the 9th National Assembly. Now, Nigerian democracy is 20 years moving on, and I will not call it a nascent democracy anymore. Nigeria is evolving now. We can see we have an evolving democratic culture. And let me start with reps. How vibrant would House of Reps be, given the fact that we have members who have done almost like 8 terms, 4 terms, you are a 2-term member, and
with such experience, let's look at your vibrancy. Though you are not lucky to have former governors in your kitty, in House of Reps.
The governors who don't want to come to House of Reps, they have grown to over. Anyway, that's my dream.
So the vibrancy of the ninth.
The vibrancy could be looked from this perspective. I'm telling you, it's going to be more vibrant. When you look at the 8th Assembly, it was more vibrant than the 7th. The 7th than the 6th, like that. Do you know why? We adopted English language as our mother tongue. We swore, we took everything with English language. Most of the people that came in the 8th Assembly, I took a statistic, less than 40 have what is called below basic qualification. Though the minimum qualification is school cert. Is it school cert?
School cert.
Secondary school. And they didn't say 5 credits, 6 credits. Even if it is all F9, the most important thing, you have attended the school.
Sure.
So now our constitution is in English, Queen's English. We debate in English. Somebody with F9, but he has school cert, elected. How do you expect him to contribute? We are not using Hausa. We are not using Igbo. We are not using Yoruba.
Or TV.
Or TV. Or Terra, my language. Or Fulani. I hope you understand.
Sure.
How does that person even read the acts establishing National Assembly to know his extant or to know the extant law? Talk less of the Constitution of the Federal Republic, that he is supposed to look at the law and look at which laws are obsolete, which laws will they come on board. The executive sending in English. How can this person read the English? So, still back to the electorate. Why do you have to send somebody who doesn't know English? But the 9th Assembly, going by the statistic, I think almost everybody has what is called a basic qualification. At least he possesses the basic education to read, interpret the bills, the motions. You understand what I mean?
And contribute effectively.
And contribute effectively.
Okay.
So that's why I'm telling you that with that you have vibrancy. You know, when you see people arguing, you know, he knows, I know.
Okay.
It will take time for the transcend to reach equilibrium.
Okay, let me go to the Senate now. Your Excellency, the Senate has suddenly become the haven for former civilian governors in Nigeria, even both military, former military governors, and you are one of those to join them as you were there as a House of Reps member, and you are coming back as a senator-elect, a former governor. You have a collegiate of you in the Senate. So looking at your presence now and those who have garnered experience over the years, vibrancy of the Senate.
Well, you know, the Senate is the...
In view of what we have discussed all along.
They look at it as the upper chambers of the National Assembly. And that suggests that people who should ordinarily be there should be people who have come with a lot of experience. That is why if we look at the constitutional provision for the years, it starts from 35. That presupposes that somebody who is 35 would have, achieved or had some experience. But, in the Senate, where you have former this, former that,
former governors,
suggests that there's a lot of experience in that place. And that is why even the Constitution itself saddled the Senate with more responsibility than it does for the House of Representatives. Approvals of president, ministers and other statutory bodies that are supposed to have people of experience there. That is the exclusive preserve of the Senate. That is to show that whoever comes there should be able to contribute to the development and the improvement of this country. So what you now have is with a lot of experience, like you say, former governors, former ministers, former days. People are coming there believing that they have come there to contribute. Because as a matter of fact, I've been in the House of Reps, I've been governor. So if my interest is not to contribute to the development and improvement of Nigeria, then I won't be going to the National Assembly. So basically, I felt that I still have a lot to contribute to the development of this country. So I'm going there to actually work for the interests of my children, because I have children who are in the university now. And that means that I know that I should leave a legacy for those children. Not just my children, I'm just using mine as the same, but children of Nigerians. expect that we should represent them and provide an environment that is sustainable, that they also can benefit from subsequently.
Okay. Let's look at the law.
Just as a rider to what His Excellency have said, but I think I will drop His Excellency and say Senator.
Senator-elect.
Senator-elect anyway. You see, when you look at all this, the experience, you cannot throw away treasures. The authors of our constitution that gave us this presidential system of government did it deliberate to have what you call a bicameral legislation. The House of Reps is intended to be more vibrant because is when you go to the age limitation or the commencement age to be there. It's people that with the vibrancy and the whatever. So, and the Senate supposed to be more mature so that they can serve as a buffer to question the effect of the House of Representatives. Okay. And that's why you see...
Is that playing out?
Yeah, when we have... Not playing up anyway, as a buffer to cushion whatever vibrancy. Because no law can be passed by one chamber to become a law, the House of Reps. But so they will do the Chinese talk, they will call us as their junior brothers, some even children, to talk to us, and we can see wisdom. So that's why you see, so somebody to be in the Senate must have come through a lot of things, just like he said. That aside, he mentioned the issue of appointment and everything. Yes, that is there to the Senate statutorily. But the House of Representatives too, the public didn't even know the powers. Whereas the powers of appointment and everything is saddled in the Senate, the control of the post, the power of appropriation is saddled in the House of Representatives. Okay. I have to tell you that.
Okay.
Can you see where we differ?
Sure.
Suppose they pass their own budget.
Very distinct.
We pass our own budget.
Yes.
We should have a joint section. And then the majority. 360 against 100.
Okay. In conclusion, sir, in all this, Nigeria is on a mission driven by a very huge vision. And there is hope, like you said, we are all here to contribute our own quota to ensure that Nigeria goes the way the dream of our forefathers is. So, moving on, your closing thoughts, Nigeria's democratic principles thus far, in conclusion. Let me start with you.
We should give kudos to the process. For us to have almost 20 years of uninterrupted kind of a democratic practice. No, we give kudos. And you can see we are developing. When you look at the 2019 elections, my brother here and everybody will have said that at least we have 60 to 70% our vote were allowed to be counted. Yeah, I don't want to blow our trumpet, but people knew, the electorate now, they knew that their vote were not counting previously. Before. Okay. But now it's being counted. It's not yet Uhuru. We are not there 100%. And that is why you see this issue of Mr. Inconclusive that has come in here. It's because we are playing by the rule. At least we will see that, yes. And so, look, what I'm trying to say is that at least it is because we are playing the game by the rule, it's because our votes are being counted that we are being more meticulous.
Okay, thank you.
So,
let me take your last thoughts.
Well, I think that, like you said, we've not done badly, but we've also not done very well, because 20 years down the road, one would have expected that would have done better, especially that we've copied this from some other places, and those places we should learn from their mistakes. When America started, America is the father of democracy in the world. When they started, they had teething problems. It has taken them close to more than 200 years. They still have those problems with them. And so, to that extent, I would say that we have tried. But one would have expected that the improvement would have been more than what we are witnessing.
Okay.
But like I said, those teething problems are mere vibrations so that we can be stronger. And I believe that moving forward, we are learning from the past mistake. Like you said, the electoral process is where we need to focus. And I think that as we focus on that electoral process, once we get it right, I think on issues of elections, would have put some of these teething problems that we're experiencing to
Would have
rest.
been flying.
Thank you, gentlemen. I started with you. Let me close with start with him for the closing. It was nice having a chat with you, and I think from all of you have said, hope is not lost. There's all indication that the 9th National Assembly, that is a countdown for its inaugural, will be a lot an improved National Assembly from the 8th National Assembly. Gabriel Suswam, His Excellency Senator-elect, Northeast Central District, Benue State. Thanks for joining us on Insight.
I appreciate
and also,
it. Thank you.
Honorable Dr. Abubakar Yunusa Ahmed, member representing Yamal 2 Diba Federal Constituency of Gombe State. It was nice chatting with you.
Thank you.
Okay. Up next on Insight is the media review segment. Stay with us.